Welcome to the Assisted Living Network podcast. I'm so excited to introduce you to our guest, Carrie Aalberts. And she taught me something in this conversation that maybe we all should know. But the reality is, if you have a brain, you are at risk. At risk for what? You're about to find out. Help me welcome to the show, the dementia darling herself. In the United States right now, there are 76 million baby boomers. The number one dilemma for these baby boomers? Housing. That dilemma can be your opportunity. Welcome to the Assisted Living Network podcast, where you can discover how just one residential assisted living home could secure your financial future forever. Welcome to the show, Carrie. I'm so excited to have you.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You are the dementia darling. Like when we think dementia, we think you, and not because you have it, because you know everything about
Not yet.
it.
Not yet. It will be a really, intense shift on my profile, on my social media when I actually probably am living with dementia.
Yes.
And I'll still be the dementia darling, I promise.
That is so funny. I love it. That's what we're all just going to have to call you. When you finally are in an RAL one day, we'll be like, she is the darling.
I'll be a legend in those homes.
Okay, talking about this, how do we find, what are the early stages of dementia? How do we even notice if someone is headed that direction?
Absolutely. That is scary stuff, right? When we notice our loved one changing and just like being a little off. We know, we're all aging. There's normal aging things that happen. But when something really is out of personality, like out of their character, first off, personality changes often go kind of like connected with dementia. But especially in younger people, those personality changes happen before memory issues arise. So if they're acting different, that's something to pay attention to. And not saying it's definitely dementia, but that's something to pay attention to and get help with. And then also if something is happening, like, let's say, maybe you leave the stove on once or twice, it happens in the year. That's like normal, like I would say. But if it's like all the time and it's a safety issue, that's when you're like, okay, we need to start keeping track of this and we need to go to the doctor. Or if you're losing, your direction of, you've gone to the same grocery store your whole life and then you just can't figure out how to get there anymore. That's different than like a regular change in aging. That's not something that is as normal. So paying attention to those little things that feel off or different, and then keeping track. And if it feels consistent, we need to go and talk to a doctor.
Is it one of those things? When you're starting to progress and this is happening, does it feel almost episodic? Like it happens and maybe later you realize that was weird. I was at the store and I didn't know how to get home. Like, of course I know how to get home. And it feels almost like something that happened to you, maybe?
No, absolutely. I think that's totally, I've talked to my mom and she's like, oh, I showed up the day before my doctor's appointment. Like it wasn't something, and it's like, I don't want, like, you don't have to be scared all the time. You're like, it's okay to, have things just feel off or forget things. That's normal. But if you do notice things, that's when you look back and you're like, well, that was kind of weird. Or I keep losing my words when I'm talking to my friends. Pay attention. And then bring that kind of, like those notes you have to your doctor. It's just good to have a baseline, honestly. Like I just had my parents go in and have a baseline done, cognitive testing baseline, because they're aging. They're, my dad's in his 70s, my mom's in her 60s, and their doctor should have a starting point to see if they are progressing or if something is changing later down the road. So even if you don't feel you're having any issues, it's good to have a cognitive baseline with your doctor.
Do you just go in and ask for that test?
Yeah, they do testing. And, I've heard some doctors are weird about it, but you are allowed to get testing. You're allowed to ask for that. Specifically have a neurologist in your corner is always a good thing to do. Brain health is, connected to everything in our lives. So having a neurologist, they definitely do it. But yeah, your main physician should be doing cognitive testing if you ask. They just don't offer it up. You have to ask and know.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah.
That's a huge tip and something that everybody listening can, if they have aging parents, grandparents, somebody who needs to be, just have that baseline. I love that. It's just a starting place. It's saying, So when I come in again, we know where I was, you know?
Exactly.
That's the most important of all. I know this is probably like one of the biggest topics that everybody wants to talk about, but is there any way to prevent or to reverse brain change and dementia?
Yeah. So first up, there is currently no cure for any dementias, but there are these type of dementias that are reversible, so that you can reverse. That is like a vitamin deficiency, or someone who is maybe having mental health struggles and then gets medicine for that. Like depression can mimic dementia in older adults. So that's something, people get a dementia diagnosis and it could be depression, and then they're labeled as dementia, and it changes their life when they could have just had a depression med. And
Wow.
that's why geriatricians are so important, because they actually understand aging bodies, and a lot of doctors don't. So that's a big thing. So that's why it's important to go to a doctor, not just be like, well, it's dementia, that's it, and kind of just say that's all you're dealing with. You never know. So there are those kind of things, or if there's delirium in the hospital that sets in, that can be kind of something that can be reversed, and over time. But with, risk factors, we have a lot of preventable risk factors. But it's never guaranteed, unfortunately. We all are at risk. If you have a brain, you're at risk. But I want people to know that, often we think, oh, my grandma had it, I'm gonna get it, and actually genetics play 2 to 3% into it. So it's really not that intense of a reason to freak out. But if you're but it only really plays into when you're working with like a genetic form of dementia, like an FTD variant form that can be genetically passed down. So there are like some forms, but like if your grandma had Alzheimer's, that does not mean you're definitely having Alzheimer's. It's only 2 to 3% more a chance. And those risk factors are taking care of ourselves. It's the normal stuff. Taking care of our body, working out, being social is a huge one. And taking care of your hearing as you're getting older is a huge factor. If you don't take care of your hearing, that can lead to a dementia kind of progression.
Wow. Everything you just
Yeah,
dropped is amazing. And when you were talking about depression being almost misdiagnosed as dementia, it's so
it's
interesting
scary.
because I don't think people who don't hang out with seniors understand how much depression there is as you age. Like if you
So
really
much.
look around, I'll never forget my Pepe, my grandma on my mom's side. We were sitting at a dinner table with him, and he literally was like, well, all my siblings are dead, all my friends are dead, my parents are dead. What's left to live for? And we're sitting right at the table with him, and I was just thinking like, what do you mean? I'm here. Why wouldn't you live for me? Like what's going on? But in his it's so different because we're living this life where we're running around and doing this and so crazy, and his
Yeah.
life has stopped in that regard. And the people who were at his pace are no longer there. And it was a clear sign
Mm.
of I'm depressed right now. And I was
Yeah.
shocked at that. And then I got into this industry and realized almost everyone I encounter has some degree of depression going on. So
Yeah.
that is wild. And
We're human.
I'm not
Yeah.
surprised that that can correlate with that diagnosis because it's
It
sometimes
does.
there are similar things going on with that
Absolutely. And people living with dementia can be also living with
depression.
depression.
Yes.
So, I mean, having dementia does not take away, that you're grieving, or you can experience joy. Like all these things can be true. But yeah, I mean, if you think about, getting older and yeah, losing the people around you and changing yourself and your health,
Yeah.
absolutely depression is valid. And I'm hoping more people will um, be open to support, whether that be talk therapy, whether that be support groups, whether that be medication. We need to be open to these things because they're life changing. And I know there's a lot of stigma there, but we need to be talking about mental health with our aging loved ones. It's so important.
It's so important. Um, let's talk about training because obviously I come from like the owning an RAL world, and
Yes.
a lot of the caregivers don't necessarily come with the best memory care training, even though they may have
No.
that designation or certification. So,
Yeah.
what specialized training should caregivers go through, and should RAL operators say, in my home, we, have to do this?
So that's kind of a hard question like in the sense of picking specific ones, because there's a lot of wonderful
Okay,
trainings
good.
out there. So I can provide you with a list. Maybe we can post in the
Yes,
notes or
yes.
something with some that I like. But I know that some are more expensive than others. I know there's a barrier there. So I get that. But the thing that you have to focus on is consistently providing education and support. It's not a one stop, you're hired, let's watch some videos. Good luck. No, oh my gosh. That's why we have turnover. People are thrown in and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so
Yeah.
intense. So much more than the video told me, right? So we need consistency. So having programs that, there's a bunch of programs that kind of follow up and give you things to do, maybe focus on weekly, or you get, kind of like assignments or things to do. So it's always ongoing. That's really important. But also just if you're, collecting your favorite dementia information that you're finding as management and having, you need to have meetings, I think at least once a month with a new focus and really dive in, have them ask questions
Mm.
and what scenarios have they been in and they need help figuring out as a team, oh, we're seeing this person is exit seeking a lot. We need to figure this out as a group and have a game plan. So those are things that need to be always happening, these conversations. There is an amazing free app called Roon,
Okay.
Roon, and it's kind of for dementia family caregivers, but it works great for professionals as well. It's like having a little dementia educator in your back pocket, and it's
Oh,
this little app,
amazing.
and it has all these different topics. Like you can go in behavioral issues, and it'll tell you like how to handle it from people living with dementia, from their perspective, from experts. I have like 16 videos on there, like from people you'll recognize, and you'll learn so much, and it's free. So, yeah, Rune
Incredible.
Dementia. Yeah, so that's a good
Love
one,
that
but there's so
resource.
many.
Okay, cool. We will do that. We will drop it in the show notes and we'll get
Yeah.
some info on your favorites. What's a big mistake that people make when working with someone who has increasing dementia?
Oh gosh. Arguing, doubting them, not
Uh,
entering their world. Give it up. It's not your world anymore. Sorry. You need to step into their world. And I had trouble with this because, I was a young caregiver and I was like, why is he saying these things that are completely false, and I wanted to fight back and be like, no, bring them back to my reality. You have to be in the real world. Stop. Stop wasting your time. You are never going to win because they cannot comprehend the context of where our reality is anymore.
uh,
And that's not their fault. It is brain change. It is not their fault. And they cannot reason anymore, unfortunately. Progressingly, they cannot reason. And that is because their brain is changing. We can reason and we can say, you know what? They're always right. The customer's always right, baby. That's what you got to think. Like, and be in their world, and things start to make sense when you enter their world and think, okay, well, she kind of talked about living at home again. So maybe she's in her teenage years. Okay, so maybe when she's talking about wanting to go home, she's talking about, maybe it's after high school. Okay, I can talk to her. How was school today? Or what are your mom and dad like? What does your mom make for dinner? Enter her world. Enter their world. It's not about ours anymore.
wow. I mean, you are that is such amazing information because I think that that is everyone's number one go-to is
Yeah.
let me try to argue my way to you
Mm-hmm.
understanding
I
what the
can bring you
reality.
back.
I'll bring you back. I'll bring you back. Like I'll give you enough information that it will just click. It will just happen and the reality is like that's not what it is. Do you think that the more you know, if you are dealing with someone who has dementia, the more you can reason and rationalize on what is happening to them, the more it will help you. And that's why
Yes.
education is so important.
Yes, and being curious. It takes a long time. I'm not expecting anyone to just be like, "Oh, I understand her now." No, like it takes a long time because you have
Uh,
to know history, right? You have to know whatever you can get from the families. What did they do for a living? That makes sense. Why does he stay up all night? Maybe he worked a graveyard shift. Duh, makes sense. Think knowing history, knowing what they do now, what you can tell from, what they tell you, and just any anything that you can gauge from what they are trying to tell us, because every behavior, quote unquote, that we see, everything they are telling us is communication. And so being curious, taking notes and communicating with other caregivers, because they're going to say different things at different shifts, right? And so you got to all come together and say, that makes sense because she said something to me that, okay, so she must have had a couple dogs. Okay, let's talk about the dogs next time whatever it may be. But you really need to communicate, and that's going to help everyone know your people better, make them feel seen and safe. Because if they feel like they are seen and she knows my mom, she knows who I'm talking about, I feel I'm in the right place. I'm here. Yes, I'm okay.
Amazing. Whoever's listening, they might be an RAL owner. They might be
Yep.
a wannabe RAL owner. If there's one thing that they should be doing in their life with that senior, what do you think that is?
Oh, definitely promoting independence for them as much as possible. That is how we prolong people's lives, is by giving purpose. And I know it can be hard, and it's often like, we say, like, give them the feeling of purpose. Like, I don't want to give them the feeling of it. I want to give them purpose. I want to give them real life purpose. So how do we do that? That's also a part of knowing them and knowing what's important to them. You have someone who is an ex-teacher. Maybe she wants to, help grade a teacher's papers, or maybe she wants to, do a reading story time at the library for kids, and she wants to read. And you take her there and give her purpose by being in community. Providing opportunities to socialize and to be in community and to have real purpose that means something to them is the best thing we can do for people.
Incredible. I know you are such a wealth of knowledge. And if people want to connect with you and learn more from you, or ask questions about maybe something they're dealing with someone they're caring for or someone in their care home, how do people find you and connect with you?
Yeah, please follow me on social media. I'm most on Instagram at Dementia Darling. You can email me at dementiadarling@gmail.com. I also have dementiadarling.com, and you can also get to me through there on my email. And I do support all kinds of care environments, and talk to staff, talk about the staff mental health. I talk to families of your client families, so they can understand how to communicate and engage and have better visits. I'm here for you, and I want you to know you're doing such incredible work. You're doing such important work. Keep going and give yourself grace. You are learning. We're all learning in the dementia world every day. We're all always learning from new research that's coming out and new just types of ways to communicate and engage. So keep being curious, keep learning, and keep reaching out, and follow all the incredible dementia educators and caregivers online, because you can learn so much. And if your staff's already going to be on Instagram, at least if I pop up sometimes, it's helpful. So have them, follow some of us. There's amazing educators, not just me, but follow all the educators out there. They're doing good work.
It absolutely is so much fun to follow you and see all the tips that you share along the way. So everybody check the show notes, go ahead and give her a follow so that you can be up to speed as well. I want to end with one question here. I know that for some people who don't have the education that you do, dementia can seem scary. Should we be scared of dementia?
Oh, I personally do not fear it at all, and it is my life. So is that weird to say? But I'm not scared because I know I can live well with dementia.
Yeah.
There are ways to live well and live beautifully and have joy and meaning and community. You can live well with dementia. But that's why I do this work, is to fight against the tragedy narrative we have, because so many are given a diagnosis of dementia by their doctor and pretty much said, get your affairs in order, you're done. And that's not true. Yeah. That is furthest from the truth. Please do not fear it. Of course, take care of yourself. We don't want to, go for dementia. We don't want to, want it. But if you do have it, or you have a loved one, please know there is still life to live. There is still beauty and love, but we might have to find it, and we have to adapt. But life is about adapting, and I promise you, you will still smile and enjoy life. I promise. But thank you for doing all that you do, everyone.
Well, thank you for being on the show and sharing with us all of your insight and knowledge. As you guys can tell, Carrie is just a wealth of knowledge. So seriously, go follow her, go show some love on her videos and everything that she does. And thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much.